We're going to bring the car industry back to Michigan. We're going to bring it back to Detroit. We're going to put the biggest tariffs. There won't be one damn car that's going to be able to come through our border. And you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've been a horrible, horrible vice president. You've destroyed San Francisco when you were the DA. But we're going to say, Kamala, you're horrible. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're useless.
And that's former President Trump rallying in battleground Michigan over the weekend. Vice President Kamala Harris also holding a rally in Kalamazoo, Michigan on Saturday, where she was joined by former First Lady Michelle Obama, who attacked Donald Trump. Watch.
I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline. So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn.
Joining me now is Michigan Congressman John James, member of the House Foreign Affairs and Transportation Committees, also an Iraq War veteran. Congressman, thank you for your service to our nation, and thanks for being here.
It's an honor.
Vice President Harris is headed to Ann Arbor again today. You said that her EV mandate hurt her campaign in Michigan. I want to hear more about that. But first, give us your reaction to those comments from the former First Lady right there.
We don't expect Kamala Harris to dazzle us. We just expect we don't expect Kamala Harris to dazzle us. We just expect her not to sell us down the river. Right now in the state of Michigan, people are scared. They're scared because we have open borders. They're scared because they can't afford gas, groceries, and their medical bills with 20% inflation. They're scared because right now, 1,000 people are being laid off in my district and their jobs being sent to Mexico and China and all over the world because Kamala Harris EV mandates are going to force comply or die mandates. And they're scared because my opponent is saying that we have a dying industry. Well, under Carl Marlinga and Kamala Harris, it certainly would be. We are pushing back on that. And President Trump is going to lead the way to get government out of your business and to make sure the automotive industry and Michigan's economy can thrive once again.
Do you think the Obamas campaigning for Kamala is working?
I think it's highlighting how terrible Kamala Harris is. I think for the people whom I've spoken with, make folks remember when you could have a candidate for president who could actually deliver policy, who didn't have to cackle her way through interviews, who didn't have to have her handlers get CBS to chop up interviews and give the best, put people in the best light. President Trump has been barnstorming the country. He just left from Michigan, and he has been telling people to vote early. And so if you are in Michigan and you need information how to vote early, go to vote.johnjamesmi.com. We know this is going to be all about turnout, and people in the state of Michigan are excited about the opportunity to work under Trump and bring Michigan's economy back.
Yeah, so how do you think Michigan will vote? I mean, I know prominent Muslim and Arab leaders in Michigan are now backing Trump. The Arab community, they joined him on stage during his rally over the weekend. The mayor of Dearborn Heights, which is home to one of the U.S.'s largest Muslim populations, he told the crowd Trump will stop the wars. Meanwhile, anti-Israel protesters interrupted Harris's rally in Kalamazoo. Watch this.
We are fighting for America's future, and we understand the opportunity we have before us to turn the page on the fear on the topic of Gaza. We must end that war. And we must end the war and bring the hostages home. But now I am speaking about 2024.
Congressman, your reaction?
She says that she wants to end the war when her copy-paste administration has done every single thing they possibly can to help grow it. This administration, the Harris administration, not only was the one that led to Afghanistan's collapse and Taliban getting $85 billion worth of American military equipment that we're finding all over the world. But this administration continued the failed policies of the Obama administration that continued to abet the Iranian regime. The Obama administration sent $6 billion over to the Iranians on a flight on an airplane, cash. The Obama administration continued to the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal that got Iran closest to a nuclear weapon. And just in her administration right now, her own intelligence community says that Iran is close to getting a nuke. Right now, because of her administration's failure to enforce the sanctions that the Republicans have pushed through Congress on Iran, Iran's oil money is funding the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah right now at Israel's expense. Her Harris administration is more intent on holding Israel accountable than holding Iran accountable as Israel fights a war of self-defense. We must stand with our allies, and this administration is standing with Iran. We must absolutely pray for peace every single day, but the best way to bring Iran to its senses is to cut off the oil flow.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have still, been taunting Israel with threatening that they're going to hold back weapons. Israel, of course, launched a retaliation over the weekend on Iran, targeting military facilities near Tehran and western Iran. Earlier this morning, Iran fired off missiles at Israel, of course, back on October 1st. In retaliation for the killing of Nasrallah. But Iran's foreign minister says that they will use all available tools to respond to Israel's attack. Congressman, what's your take on the retaliation that we saw over the weekend from Israel and the U.S.'s, I don't know, they claim it's an ironclad support, Congressman, but I'm questioning that, given every couple of weeks we get another threat from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris that Israel better do this or that or they're going to hold back weapons.
Look, under President Trump stood with Israel. Our enemies knew that President Trump meant business. President Trump took out the #1 terrorist when he took out Soleimani, and Iran's response was neutered. Right now, President Trump moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, keeping a promise that American presidents have made. President Trump had the Abraham Accords, and we were moving closer to peace in the Middle East and having Israel that was recognized. And that is why Iran is continuing to stoke fear and terror around the region. And make no mistake, when they say death to America, death to Israel, they mean it. And with these wide open borders created under the Harris-Biden administration, these threats are right on our doorstep today. The closer and farther, the farther away that we get from September 11th under this administration, the closer we get to September 10th. The complacency and the lax security under this failed administration, under Kamala Harris, has created a situation where Americans can be threatened here and at home. Under Kamala Harris, it is open season on Americans.
Meanwhile, Trump goes on Joe Rogan's Experience podcast and shatters records. 26 million views in just 24 hours, Congressman. I mean, obviously, many people are with Trump. How do you think Michigan votes?
I think Michigan votes their wallets. I think Michigan votes their security. I think Michigan votes their conscience. But what's most important is that Michigan votes. So again, go to vote.johnjamesmi.com, because my seat was the one seat that was held the majority. And I only won by 1,600 votes. And right now, Democrats are circling the wagons around failed politician Carl Marlinga, who says that I'm in a dying industry. We need every single vote. We need Michigan to come out and vote. And we need to make sure that we make this thing too big to rig.
All right. We will leave it there. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks very much, John James.